For the longest time, I genuinely believed I was a devoted husband, the kind of man who trusted easily, who always gave others the benefit of the doubt. I never felt the need to snoop through my wife's messages or question her every action. Jealousy didn't come naturally to me. To me, love was built on trust, and I thought that alone should be enough. My wife, Vanessa, wasn't a terrible person. In fact, she was lively and captivating in ways that drew people in. But she had a certain habit, a pattern I ignored for far too long. She enjoyed testing boundaries, always seeing how far she could stretch the line before I would finally draw one. Sometimes it came in the form of impulsive purchases or staying out far later than she'd said she would. I convinced myself those weren't battles worth picking. But somewhere deep inside, I sensed something more intentional behind her actions, like a quiet rebellion, a challenge in her gaze, almost daring me to react. And then came Jake. From the moment I met him, I knew what kind of man he was. Vanessa swore up and down that he was just a friend. But this wasn't just anyone. Jake was her ex. And I knew men like him. Men who linger with purpose. They wait patiently in the background, playing the harmless friend, while quietly waiting for the right moment to step back in. I brought up my discomfort with Jake more than once. Not because I was being possessive or paranoid, but because I saw through his act. But every time, Vanessa brushed it off with a laugh. "You're reading too much into it," she'd say. "He's just a friend, Richard. Honestly, he's like a brother to me." The usual words, the practiced reassurances. And because I wanted to believe her, I let it go over and over again. But even trust has limits. And Vanessa was about to learn where mine ended. It was a quiet evening. We sat in the living room together, the television murmuring softly in the background. She was idly scrolling through her phone, chatting about her day. Then, almost carelessly, she dropped it into conversation, as if it were nothing. "Some of my old friends are planning a weekend getaway," she said. "They've rented a beach house in the Bahamas. Just a little fun in the sun, catching up, unwinding, like the old days." At first, it sounded harmless. I'd never been the kind of man to tell his wife where she could or couldn't go. Our marriage had always valued independence, living individual lives and choosing to share them. But then she added, almost too casually, "Jake's coming too." The second his name slipped out, I felt something shift. There was a subtle pause, barely noticeable, but I caught it. She glanced at me, waiting for my reaction, almost provoking it. She wanted me to respond. I had spent years warning her about Jake, not out of insecurity, but from experience. I knew what he was about, and I wasn't about to pretend otherwise. But instead of raising my voice or listing my concerns again, I stayed calm. I looked her in the eye and said evenly, "If you go, don't bother coming back." For a moment, her eyes widened, surprised. Then she let out a laugh, like I had just made an absurd joke. "God, Richard, you're so dramatic," she scoffed, rolling her eyes and flashing that familiar condescending smile. Then came the same tired lines. "You're overreacting. Jake's just a friend. You need to stop being so insecure." I didn't argue. I didn't explain myself. I simply said, "Do what you want." And I meant it. She thought I was bluffing. She always thought I was bluffing. But this time I wasn't. On the morning of her trip, she moved around the house like it was any normal day, humming to herself as she packed, folding clothes neatly, checking her phone every few minutes, probably responding to the group chat. Every so often, she glanced my way, likely expecting me to break the silence or plead with her to stay. But I didn't say a word. When she finished packing, she rolled her suitcase to the front door, walked over to me, and gave me a quick kiss on the cheek. "Love you," she said casually, dismissively even, as though our conversation from days before hadn't happened at all. Then she grabbed her keys and walked out. And I just watched her go without a single word. I didn't have to say a thing. I simply stood by the window, watching in silence as she hoisted her suitcase into the waiting cab. She climbed inside without a second glance, and soon enough, the vehicle disappeared down the street and out of sight. The moment she turned the corner, I exhaled slowly and picked up my phone. It was time. The choice had already been made. This wasn't a moment of anger, but the execution of a plan long in the making. Step 1. Change the locks. I had already scheduled a locksmith the day before. Within the hour, every lock in the house had been replaced. The keys Vanessa carried were now meaningless. When she returned, she'd be met with a door that no longer welcomed her and a life she no longer belonged to. Step 2. Her possessions. I headed straight to our bedroom and opened her side closet. Her clothes hung there neatly. Dresses, shoes, the perfume bottles carefully arranged on her vanity. Every last item was packed methodically, boxed and labeled for delivery to her parents' address. I didn't want to leave anything behind, not even a scarf she could claim as a reason to come back. And finally, step 3, the paperwork. I dialed my lawyer. "I'm ready," I said. "Let's make this official." There was no hesitation in my voice, no second guessing. This wasn't a bluff meant to scare her. It was a final decision born from clarity and exhaustion. Vanessa had spent years pressing my limits, always assuming I'd return to her side. She believed I was predictable, that I'd sulk for a while, then forgive, just like always. But this time was different. That day, I moved through the house with a calm, focused energy. The space that had once carried the weight of unresolved tension now felt strangely open. The years of quiet suspicion, of biting my tongue and looking the other way, those chains had finally fallen away. By evening, the air felt lighter, and for the first time in what seemed like ages, so did I. That night, as I lay in bed, a quiet peace settled over me, something I hadn't felt in a very long time. Vanessa was likely sipping drinks on a sunny beach, completely unaware that her world had shifted in her absence. She made her choice. Now she'd face the consequences. In the days that followed, I didn't waste time thinking about her. I wasn't consumed with regret or anger. My path was clear, the pieces already in place, and I was focused on moving forward. I imagined her lounging in the Bahamas, laughing with old friends, completely oblivious that she no longer had a home to return to. But then, on the 4th day, 3 days earlier than expected, she came back. I got the alert on my phone from the doorbell camera. Curious, I opened the live feed. There she was, Vanessa, standing at the front porch with her bags at her feet, casually reaching for the doorknob like she had every right in the world to be there. She turned it. Nothing. She tried again. Still locked. I watched as confusion swept across her face, quickly morphing into realization. The locks were changed, and she knew exactly what that meant. Her hand darted to her phone. Moments later, mine started ringing. I waited before picking up. "Richard?" she breathed, her voice already cracking with panic. "The door won't open." I kept my voice flat, detached. "You don't live here anymore." Silence. I could hear her breathing on the other end, uneven, shaky, stunned. "Your belongings were sent to your parents' place," I added. "Expect divorce papers soon." Still, she said nothing. Then desperation crept in. "Richard, please, wait. Just let me." I ended the call. Almost instantly, she tried again. Her name lit up the screen. I ignored it. Then the messages started. "Richard, please talk to me. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. It's not what it looks like." The texts came one after another, a flood of panic and pleading. I stared at the screen, but I felt nothing. No sadness, no fury, just stillness. This was the same woman who smirked when I mentioned Jake, who brushed off my warnings with laughter, who kissed me goodbye like nothing mattered, certain I'd never follow through. And now she was begging. Another message arrived. "Please pick up. There's something I need to tell you." I checked the camera again. Vanessa was pacing in front of the door. Her face was pale, her hands trembling. She ran her fingers through her hair in agitation, visibly unraveling. The messages stopped. Then came a voice note. I hesitated, then tapped play. Her voice came through, strained and frantic. "Richard, please. You were right about Jake. I should have listened. I didn't think it would turn out like this. I drank too much. I woke up and something happened. He filmed it. He's blackmailing me." Her voice cracked. I could hear the fear, the guilt, the chaos in her breath. I didn't want to come out this way. I was lost, Richard. I didn't know who else to turn to. Please, I need you. Her voice trembled, thick with panic and regret. But I sat there unmoved, letting her words fall into the silence between us. This wasn't just fear over mistake. This was fear of losing control. The man she put her trust in had turned on her. And now, in her unraveling, she looked to me to clean up the wreckage. There was a time, maybe not so long ago, when I might have caved, when I might have told myself that love meant forgiveness, and that pain could be patched with second chances. But that version of me no longer existed. I typed one final message. Make peace with your decision. Vanessa, this is your life now. Then I hit send and blocked her. No more contact. No more hope. Just closure. That was the final page in a book that should have been closed a long time ago. I didn't look back. I didn't scroll through her socials or ask around. She had gambled with my trust for years, thinking I'd always come back around. She was wrong. From what little I did hear, her world began to fall apart not long after. Her parents didn't know everything, but they understood enough. They knew she walked away from a steady, loyal marriage and came back to find the door, literally and figuratively, locked behind her. Her father was livid but had no choice but to take her in. She had burned every other bridge. Even her friends tried intervening. A couple of them messaged me. Richard, she's really sorry. It was one mistake. Can't you at least talk to her? But they didn't live with the consequences. I did, and I wasn't interested in playing the fool again. Then there was Jake, the man she threw it all away for. The moment things got messy, he vanished like a shadow at sunrise. Once she told him she knew about the video, about what he'd done, he disappeared. No explanation, no goodbye, just silence. The man she chose over me wouldn't even return her calls. So now she sits alone, ashamed, broken, and full of regret. Meanwhile, I move forward. I pour my energy into work, into myself, into the life ahead of me. Not once did I waste time wondering if she missed me or wished she could undo it all. Because some mistakes are permanent. Some choices don't come with a rewind button. Vanessa assumed I was bluffing. She thought my silence was temporary, that I'd simmer down, cool off, and let her back in. She misjudged me. Life has its way of delivering lessons. Some arrive gently, a quiet whisper that steers you to safety. Others come as a tempest, uprooting every illusion you held on to. What happened wasn't just about infidelity. It was about boundaries, about finally realizing when you tolerated too much for too long. For years, I silenced my gut, told myself that love meant patience and loyalty, even when my patience was mistaken for weakness. But trust can't thrive where respect doesn't exist, and love doesn't survive in a one-sided effort. Vanessa kept testing my limits, thinking they'd bend forever. She never believed I'd draw a hard line, but some boundaries, once broken, can't be repaired. And when someone shows you again and again that they don't value you, that they don't honor what you bring into their life, the bravest thing you can do is walk away and never look back. What about you? Have you ever reached the edge of your patience? Have you ever had to set a boundary that someone refused to respect? Tell us your story in the comments. You're not alone. And remember, knowing your worth isn't just about what you give. It's also about what you refuse to tolerate. Until next time, take care, stay strong.